Interview today, Mr. Ed Enoch. Welcome.
Hello, my friend.
How you doing?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thanks for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
So today we're going to ask you a couple of things. First of all, about your past.
Okay.
And there's quite a past.
Oh.
All the way up until how we find you now and working with us in our Elvis musical.
Great.
Ready
I'll do what I can. Yes.
Great. Let's go. So we're going to go back to the roots.
All right.
Talk a little bit about gospel music first, okay?
Yeah.
So you've been active in gospel music for many years. What originally inspired you to choose this style of music? Was there a moment or a person that influenced your path?
Well, back when I was a kid, and I'll go back as far as I was 8 years old, I guess, and 9 years old. My grandfather, I lived with them for many, many years. They practically raised me. They would listen to the Grand Ole Opry. It's a big deal in Tennessee, and on that Opry, every Friday night they would have a part of that opera would have Red Foley, and he would sing "Peace in the Valley." And that's probably the first song I ever heard that, as a little boy, that I loved that sound, and it would just stay with me all day, all night. I mean, it was a big deal for us to do that. And so from that point on, it just seemed to live with me. You know, like I didn't have it every day. I didn't do it every day. It was just something that I knew I would love to do that. But coming from a poor existence, as we were, and everybody I knew back then was poor, so I didn't feel left out, I just saw no way I could ever do that and ever be a part of that. So as I grew older, I sort of pursued the music the best I could. I didn't know anybody. I didn't know any way to do it. So I worked, you know. And, but when I went into the service, is the beginning of it. I was drafted into the Army and served 2 years. During that period of time, they would have music on the TVs or in the rec room, and they would have gospel music, and I would hear those quartets singing, and I thought, that's what I want to do. That's what I really want to do. But I had learned music in school. I learned how to read music in school. I played in a little band.
What instrument did you play?
I played trumpet when I was in the band at school. And then, you know, from that point, music was sort of interesting, but not until I heard these quartets. I knew I heard that sound.
What was the...
And I'm a kind of a freak about sounds, about blends. Anybody who has worked with me in the quartets, there's been a lot of people I've worked with, they'll tell you that. They'll say, you better have a blend.
It's all about the blend. Huh?
I'm really funny about that. Yeah. In fact, I'm really peculiar to the extent that I shouldn't be. But here we are. So in my life, that beginning was hearing it. And then I was thinking, how can I pursue that? How can I do that? Well, when you're in the Army, you know, you're captured, you're there. And this is how it all happened. This is seriously how it happened. I was in the 101st Airborne in Fort Campbell, Kentucky. They came to me with a plan. I could get out earlier on my active duty if I would go into an Army Reserve unit in Nashville, Tennessee. They wanted people in that brand new unit that had experience. And I did have some experience at that fort up there. I'm telling you, I had some great experiences. So I said, oh, sure, anything to get home back in Nashville. And so then I started pursuing music, and that's kind of how I went at it. I went here, went there, and I would sing some with a little trio, got a little trio put together, and did some...
Was that just a vocal trio?
A little vocal trio,
okay.
Yeah, just a little vocal.
No instruments, just...
No instruments. We had the guy who sang in the trio, he could play piano. So we did little things around town. And so, you know, actually this is a crazy thing, but we couldn't make any money. So I like to make money. And so I was figuring, I said, I know how to do it. I'll be back with y'all next week. So I started going to funeral homes in that area and asked them if people like to have music for their funerals. And I came up with a fee. They said, well, that's awful high. I said, well, it takes a lot of our time, and we have to get off work here and there. So I kind of, I didn't stretch it, but I sort of pushed it around a little bit, pushed that marble around. And that's how I started. We started working, singing those. They were sad, you know, as sad as they could be, but I started making money singing, vocalizing.
So that was your first singing job?
That was the very first thing. Wow. Yeah, it was really crazy.
When were you in the service?
From '62.
Okay. 62.
And so when you're drafted, you have no choice. You just got, in our country, that's what it's set up. We had to go. So you're kind of colonized. You know, you're vacuumed into that vacuum, and you look for something outside other than maybe something to get in trouble. So music, I like to listen to music. So when I was at Fort Campbell, you know, for sure, we had a TV in our barracks and things of that nature, and sometimes you're on 8 hours and you're off 12 hours. You know, work different shifts. So I listened to music a lot, and I listened to all those quartets. And then I came in contact, just out of the clear blue sky, this gentleman by the name of J. Kess. And J. Kess is a man who formed the Imperials, the Imperial Quartet. And they sang with Elvis before us, okay? So Jake had a little TV show, and he heard us sing, just by accident, and invited us to come on his TV show. Then he said, you want to join me? He said, I've retired from the Imperials, and so we'll just travel every now and then. And I said, oh, that's great. So here I am now from back there on the farm, and Lord, I've made it to Nashville, a big TV show he had. We started traveling together and started singing. And meantime, I began to do sessions. I worked with Jordanaires. I filled in, they call me a handyman. Felton Jarvis gave me that job. Felton is Elvis's producer, but at that time, I don't think Felton was Elvis's producer when I first worked for him. And so, you know, it's kind of a cool thing, because there I am singing with the Jordanaires, which were like gods to me, you know. I just could not believe I'm standing beside Gordon Stoker, the Gordon Stoker, you know. And so it was a real nice time to do studio work, which was really great. Learn the studio work and be able to make a living at it. And actually, that interfered with my thing with Jake. See, they didn't want on weekends, because I can make more money going down RCA Victor and doing 3 songs.
So you said in the studio work was better paid?
Yes, sir. Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure. And there's a lot more of it, because back in that day, there wasn't but 2 groups doing backup work in Nashville. And there was Nita Kerr Singers and the Jordanaires. Yeah. They owned the market. So if you could be a real good boy, but you could sing that part and read those numbers, they go by chords, by numbers. And if you could do that, you got a job.
Because you're quick, you can react quickly, you
know, I'm not quick at nothing, but I was quick at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I really was. I'm not good at much of anything. but seemed like God just kind of maybe just wanted me to do that. Because I'm not smart enough to do all that, but I did it. And then from there, I went to the Stamps. 1969, J.D. Sumner used to sing with the Blackwood Brothers. Elvis loved J.D.'s voice, and the Blackwood Brothers sang at Elvis's mother's funeral. Okay, so Elvis had much respect for the Blackwood Brothers. Always spoke well of them. James Blackwood and the Blackwoods. So J.D. left the Blackwoods and formed the group called the Stamps. and hired me in 1969. And I've been a Stamps ever since, you know, all those years.
Once a stamp, always a stamp.
Yeah, I don't think I could I could sing with anything else. I don't think I could do it. I'm not going to do it. I mean, I've done come too far. But I guess Stamps is just something in me that's just, you know, I own the Stamps now. I own the name, the rights to it, the trademark. And it's something that I've always loved. And we've had so many great pieces of talent here in the quartet. And to be able to work with Elvis, you know, Elvis came along. I joined the group in '69. I wanted to tell you that. And in '71, the Imperials were working with Elvis. But Elvis called up a tour at the end of 1971. But the Imperials were booked with Jimmy Dean.
Okay.
So they couldn't do it. So Elvis called us up to see if we would do that. Of course, you know, we jumped at that.
Of course you did.
There is
of course you did.
There is the greatest piece of talent that ever has been. I suppose ever has been. And yeah, he took us on.
Did he make you audition? Or had
no, we sent him our record.
Okay.
We sent him a record. And see, Felton was his producer. So Felton knew me. He knew of us, knew the Stamps. He lived out in Franklin, Tennessee. We had sung in Franklin, Tennessee many times. That's right outside of Nashville. And so it wasn't like no one knew us, because we were, as in the gospel music world was concerned, we were like on the top part of the layer of the music, you know.
Yeah.
And always was up on that level, because I guess of recordings and all of that.
So you sent him your record?
Sent him the record, and heard back from him. Said yes.
Was it quick? Did he get back to you
real
quickly?
Fast. Yeah. It was real fast. And I think mainly because that was a heck of a group. I mean, that group was beyond anything that I've ever sung with in my life. You know, Richard Sturbin sang the bass at that time. Now he sang bass with the Oak Ridge Boys. He left us with the Oak Ridge Boys. And the Oak Ridge Boys was a big country group in the United States. And Donnie Sumner, which was J.D.'s nephew. So Donnie Sumner sang lead, and Bill Bass sang tenor, and I sang the baritone. So we went to sing with the Elvis show. So J.D. said, I'll go alone with you and be your manager. And if you need anything when on the road, I'll be right there to take care of it. But when we got there, Elvis saw J.D. Oh, wow. He had to have him sing with us. So he got J.D. to sing. And so we had two bass singers. Okay, so you took that to the stage. Now you got to get this, because this is really something. So you got a quartet that can sing. There's only 88 keys on the keyboard. You know that. Well, when J.D. sings, there's not but 3 notes left till you get on the wood part over here, Mr. Woods. And then on the top, you've got 4 notes to the wood. So we had it covered with Kathy Westmoreland singing soprano.
Yeah.
And she sang that. So we filled 88 keys on that keyboard with what Elvis had, the Sweet Inspirations, Kathy Westmoreland, and the Stamps
You had the whole range.
So what an opportunity. Yeah. It's more than I could even tell you. I don't have words to express it.
What was it like to be around Elvis on a daily basis?
On a basis? Well, he was cool, about like you. He was just a nice guy to be around, and of course you knew he was Elvis, and you sort of wanted to make sure you stepped right. You didn't, get in his way.
It's a respect.
To make any kind of thing, but Elvis was a great guy. He was great. Many times, when you're with Elvis, And he said, "I want you to come to the house." Of course, that's Graceland.
Right.
And we said, "Well, Elvis, we just got through working. We're coming." He said, "Just bring the bus and come to the house." So we wouldn't ask any questions. We'd get the bus and.
If Elvis asked you to come, you went. That was it. Yeah.
So we'd go in there, and he'd come out, and he'd get on that bus and let me drive it. We'd go down that driveway. He'd drive in that bus and to me that's kind of crazy, you know. That's kind of off the wall. He would do that. Sometimes he'd say, "Come on in, I got something for you to see." And he might have bought a new motorcycle, might have got a new car, might have got a
plane,
just whatever, you know. And he was so proud of it, you know. He was just like a kid in a way, a young guy.
Would you say that the more time you spent around him, he started to treat you maybe as extended family? When he was happy to show you stuff?
Oh, yeah. Well, like he built the court there in his backyard for the, I can't even think of the name of it, racquetball court. And he wanted us to come all the way from Nashville and drive over to see his racquetball court. So we did. We drove in, and he had his cook there had dinner. You know, had just massive amount of food, just massive amount of food. Food that could have fed 2 quartets, 3 quartets. You know what I'm saying? Just extreme. Everything he did was extreme, over the top. But we went down to the court. He wanted to show it to us, down behind his pool. And I was just thinking, boy, we're going to do some singing tonight. I won't get to bed till daylight in the morning. And sure enough, we went in there, and as soon as I walked in that court, you know, it was real nice. I saw on the wall a little piano, a little spinning piano. I said, "Dear God in heaven, we're stuck. We're stuck." Now there I am. I loved him. I hadn't been home. I just came into Nashville, got back on the bus, and went to Memphis, wanted to see that court. But anyway, we went in there and sang, picked up the piano, took it inside the court, closed the door. You know, it's hollow, really, the acoustics is really great. Right. He loves that. He got him a seat, a cushioned seat, chair. They brought it in there and sat down. He said, "Well, let's sing some." And we sang all night long.
And that's what he liked to do. That was his way of relaxing, was singing. Gospel, mostly?
Yeah, mostly gospel, yes, yes. That's all they wanted to hear. But what people don't understand, and what it's hard for me to even tell you, and hard for me to explain it to you, is his love for gospel music. I was so proud to work for him and be with him. And I was so proud that he liked our music that I loved as a child, that he loved that music.
Yeah.
And I was very humbled around him. I was humbled by his spirit, by the way he took on about wanting to hear more of it, more and more and more and more and more, you know. So to a lot of people, this might have been a boring time, but to me, while I was there, I was very, very happy and very, very pleased. But he never knew when to quit. And so when you went, you know, you go and sing to daylight. So that's basically the meeting with Elvis and coming up from my childhood to gospel music. But gospel music, that's my life. I mean, even today, I adore it.
So you play an important role in Elvis the Musical with Grahame Patrick, who is considered one of the best Elvis performers in the world. This musical is about presenting the life and music of Elvis Presley in an impressive way. Now, how did you come to work with Bernhard Kurz, the producer of Elvis the Musical?
Bernhard called my office and requested to see if we were available to come in 2006. That's when it all began. And he wanted us to come in August. He was having a special here at the theater. And but I only had 1 week available because I work. If I work in the States now, August, I can work every day if we wanted to. You know, that's Elvis's month. He passed him. And so it's really popular. It's a real hot, what we call dates are really, it's picky, choosy. You can pick and choose what you want. But he called, and I said, well, where are you at? He said, I'm in Berlin, Germany. And I said, Berlin, Germany? I thought, God in heaven, I've got to get on a plane and ride to Berlin to sing a week? I said, Mr. Kurz, I said, I just don't know whether we can do that or not. It was kind of like that. And he said, well, what's your price? Well, I knew Sonny West. You know, Sonny was Elvis's bodyguard, and Sonny had been coming over here some. And Sonny said, now, Ed, don't charge him your fee that you get in the States because, you know, it'd be way over the top. They got to fly you over and all the expenses. And so I told Bernhard, and he said, come on. So we did the contract, and I came over for the first time. And it was so cool because, you know, Grahame, at that time, wasn't Grahame Patrick Doyle as he is now. His voice wasn't there like it is now. I mean, like now, there's nothing any better than him. Nothing.
Period.
Period. Put that dot right there on the end of it, because I think he's the best. It has nothing to do with me loving him. But he wasn't, at that time, in 2006, he was good. But I knew he had a good voice. But Bernhard had us, the show was quite different back then. You know, Bernhard wrote all of this, produced all of this, and I think he never gets enough credit for what he has done for the whole industry of show business, theaters. But he wrote this, and he had had it written different at that time. So we would come on stage. It seemed like I only did like 7 or 8 songs all night long, because he had, I think, more dancers, a lot of things going on. And so we did that, worked that week with him. And, you know, I didn't know whether I'd see him again or not, you know, because there wasn't much said. It was just, I was there for a week and ran out. You had this, we get a plane the next morning, we go home the next morning. So, so it was like 5 years. And in 2011, he called me. And I was sitting home, believe it or not, and I've told Bernhard this quite a few times, but this was a good story on Bernhard. I knew that I was supposed to sing here. Elvis wanted to work Germany more than anything I ever heard him talk about. He bought that big old 880, that 4-engine jet plane he has, Lisa Marie. He bought that plane to come over here, come to Germany. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to work that fort where he spent his time down at Bad Mannheim. He wanted to go down there, and that's all he talked about. And I couldn't quite understand it back then. I thought, well, just go. You go everywhere else you want to go. Let's just go. The colonel wasn't going to allow it, and it just didn't happen. And I'm so sorry that it didn't, because he loved Germany, believe it or not. So anyway, when Bernhard called me in 2011, I really felt like it was of God, really. I knew it was the right thing to do. I mean, I did.
It's a long way from where you're from.
It's a long way from my home, yes. And I really contemplated it. You know, I mean, I thought about it. I wrestled with it. And I said, I'd be more than happy to come. And so then he said, well, how much are you going to charge me? You know, Bernhard. And I said, well, you tell me. He told me, I said, you got your quartet. Been here ever since. So it was kind of like a marriage made between the Stamps Quartet, Bernhard Kurz, the Stars in Concert, and Grahame Patrick Doyle, all in all, and going around and round and round. And I didn't know anything about, but God did. So I know you don't want to hear much about God, people don't, but God does things like that. He takes us out of one comfortable position, and sometimes He puts us in an uncomfortable position so He can do what He wants to do and have happen. So look where this show has come from. Look where this show has come from. You know, I came here not as a judgmental guy, but I'm really funny about things being right. You know, musically right. In fact, I'm dogmatic about it. You know, to the extent I just won't tolerate it. I just can't tolerate it. I'll just go home.
And you always felt right here?
It was the right thing to do. This is home. I always tell Bernhard when I answer him in any kind of mailing, I said, and I'm coming over here, I said, it's going to be good to get home to my German brother and to my home at the Estrel. And I really mean that. And my wife, she just can't believe it, you know. She just can't believe it. Because when I'm home, you know, I don't really want to go nowhere because I've done traveled and just beat myself today.
Yeah.
And I want to just lay in that big old chair I got and play with that dog and just enjoy that home life. But let me get back to the fact. So in that equation with Bernhard and bringing us over, this thing with Grahame Patrick Doyle came around. And I saw him start growing in 2012. You know, we started touring in 2012. We did.
I remember.
Okay. And so from that point, I started seeing this guy really get into the music instead of just singing those songs. I got to hear in the band playing more what it was supposed to be than just playing the songs. So everything, it's like love. If you love and you love someone, you love a friend, you know, everything is kind of built around that. Everything sort of covers it, like a cloud. So the show began to take on that in 2012. We did those tours, and Grahame got sharp. The band began to get sharp, and the singers began to get on the wheel. The Stamps going to get on the wheel with it. And so we kind of got this thing where I felt like it was fitting, and it wasn't like going to work. And then around 2017, I was sitting home one day, and Brenda said, well, you're going to leave. How long are you going to be gone this time? And I can't remember exactly. It was a tour. And I think it wasn't the one for 80 days, but it was a good tour. I said, I'm going back over there, Germany. She was asking me some questions, and she's a precious lady. And I said, Brenda, that's where I belong. That's where I belong. I belong there. I don't know why. That's where I belong. And
you just felt it.
Yeah. I said, you know, I was raised by my grandparents, and you know, I went from home to home. I was a kid. I never felt like I really belonged anywhere in my life. You know, even now, there's times I feel I don't fit, you know, anywhere. I'm old, and I'm cranky at times, you know, but I don't fit. But you think about, but I'm home. This is where God wanted me to be. So it's kind of, with me, coming over, answering your question, coming over, seeing Grahame grow, hearing his voice, watching his performances, watching the band's music, Bernhard keeping a tight grip on everything, make sure everything fits. Any parts is missing. I don't know whether he messes with you or not when you're doing your parts, but I'm sure if he's out there, he would sure tell you if he saw something he wanted you to do, or he felt like he wanted you to do. So all of that has grown to this where we are today. And I think today this is just as good as the Elvis show was. And I would really hesitate to say that.
That's quite a statement.
If it wasn't true.
That's quite a statement.
Now, I loved Elvis. And Elvis was Elvis. Okay, ain't nobody else gonna take that spot. But when he died, I knew I'd never hear that sound again.
How close is it these days to being on our stage?
Just as close as it can get.
That's amazing. That's
the sound,
such a statement.
And let's get to the band. And the band is just as good as it can get. You got a horn section, 3 horns, that actually sounds like 6 or 8. Now, I've been on the road and took horns with me with the Stamps. We had 2 buses and trucks and all of that gear. After Elvis passed, we had all that. I had a semi-truck and trailer and all that stuff. And I had all those horns, and those guys never sounded like that. And so, and they're consistent. To me, music has been consistent. You know, you have a bad night here and there, but you fix it, and it's fixed the next night. I don't want to hear about it, I'm going to fix it next week. Next night, you fix that. Fix it. Let's get on down the road. So, and that's where we've come from. It's revolved into such a, I just wish the world could hear this show, could hear Grahame, see him. Even if we wasn't a part of it, I'd like for them to see that, because they're not going to see anything that close anymore.
You must feel that as well when you're on stage. You have certain moments with Grahame together when you tour in the center of the stage.
Yeah.
And you see the love between you and Grahame. It's genuine.
Oh, I adore him. I adore Grahame. You know, my wife said to me, and she's a smart lady now, and she said to me, I've been around music for a long, long time, Ed. I've never seen anybody that would share his stage with anyone like Grahame shares it with you. And I said, well, I don't understand it, Brenda. I don't understand it, because all my life I've had to it's like fight for every inch that I've had in the business to get wherever I am today. And I said, you know, finally, it's kind of like an addiction. You have to give in to win. You have to give it up to win. You have to give something. And I said, I've waited a long time, and here we are, and he's giving his stage to make me feel like maybe I'm somebody, which I'm not. But I said, I can't believe that. She said, well, I can't believe it either. She said, who does that? Because in our business now, listen here now, I've come from a cutthroat business now. You get into gospel music, and you get in that business, you better be carrying and packing when you go, because they're just not what this show is nothing but love.
And there's the respect as well, and it goes in both ways. It's the respect that you have for the show, and the respect that the cast and the entire house has for you as Ed and as the Stamps as well.
I guess so.
It goes in both ways.
I hope so.
I don't doubt it for a second.
I hope so. I wonder a lot of times about things like that. You know, I just think, see, we're representing Elvis, everything that we do. So, some way I'm still working for Elvis. Yeah.
You feel like he's looking over your shoulder sometimes?
Always.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you this story? I got to tell this story about the Colonel.
Yeah.
You deserve this. So the Colonel was, you know, he just weird as he could be. He just a weird guy. But that's what made him who he was. I mean, like Elvis. Elvis was different than anything I know on this earth. And that's what made him who he was. God made him. Hmm. So the Colonel would always get him a barrel or a chair, a stool. And when you came in the back door to the venue, well, there was always a ramp, because, you know, we always worked convention centers where they could pull the car in. Hmm. They pulled the car inside, Elvis would get out and all that. So we'd walk in the back door, the cast would, and the Colonel would be sitting at the top there with a cigar like this, have his cane like that. Hey, Colonel, hey, Colonel. There, like that. And I couldn't hardly wait to get there because he hated me. I'd say, hey, Colonel, how you doing, buddy? He'd say, Isn't that great? And he never ever talked to me, never spoke to me. That's all he'd do. But I would always wait and catch him. I'd see him downstairs playing, you know, when we were there in Vegas, he'd be playing those tables, you know. He gambled like crazy. I'd come by the table and I'd say, how you doing, Colonel? Like that. He'd say,
Not you, not now.
He just, never spoke my name.
No words.
Never spoke my name, never said nothing. And that's why I cherish that better than anything. Like now, back then, I used to get off on, I said, I'll get him tonight. Yeah. And because I knew he couldn't fire me, you know, because Elvis would.
No, you were,
oh, no,
you were untouchable, no, I imagine.
No, that wasn't going to happen. Yeah. That wasn't going to happen. So I knew I could wear him out. But he did make Elvis. That's it.
It's a fascinating relationship, though, too, isn't it? It's a fascinating relationship, the Colonel and Elvis.
That's it.
It wouldn't have worked otherwise, I guess, right?
Never worked.
Do you think we never would have heard of Elvis if it wasn't for the Colonel?
I hate to even say it. No.
It's incredible.
No. Because he was a genius. He was a genius. He knew exactly how to make it work. But then you think about the world, and just take a business. Take this hotel. Hmm. Building, people going, a lot of people, no people, some people, like that. Business, everything's in a circle, right? Okay, pay out here, take in here, pay out there, take in. It all has a circle and it all fits, okay? But if you didn't have the business, you didn't have anything to make fit. Colonel made the business. He made that door open. Hmm.
He opened all the doors.
He made it work. Hmm. He made it work.
You think
and that's the deal, buddy. Yeah. Now, I mean, I can't tell you that he's one of my favorite people. And I can't tell you that I really, really liked him. Because I didn't. I really didn't. Because Elvis wanted to make a better movie. And I knew, you know, when you have opportunity, you need to take advantage of it, right? Take advantage of opportunities when they come in. Elvis had wonderful scripts. Now, when I say wonderful scripts that he really wanted to do. I don't know anything about scripts and acting. You're the actor. You know all about that. But he wasn't allowed to. And I think, well, why couldn't he have had a shot at something dramatic, whether they'd fail or not? It would never have never failed. He got enough fans would have come and seen the movies and took care of any
cost. Look at Frank Sinatra. He wanted to be an actor as well. He was out there doing big drama. Yeah. He had his chance. I'm sure it didn't hurt his career.
Not a bit. Not a bit. Frank went on and on and on. I mean, Elvis went so early. And when you're working with somebody just like with you and I, you don't really notice where maybe I look maybe worse today than I did yesterday, or is that when I went for Ed is sick, or do I wonder if you're feeling bad, or do you seem like well, you might lost a little weight?
I wish.
But I don't, you don't think about stuff like that. You don't, when you're working, you don't think about that. You're at Elvis's house, you don't think about it. But as I look back, hindsight, it's 2020. Yes, he put on weight rapidly, and yes, I would watch him every night on stage, because he had signals to you. And I cover his voice like I cover Graham's. It's not thirds in a quartet. 3 parts. That bass is doubling. And so JD was, you ever seen that right there? Looking, that was strictly. They wanted JD up. He wanted to hear that. Or if he wanted me to come in, he had his fingers like that. He might have 2 of them together like that. And I'd come in more on him, and just, I'm singing block chords, so I'm not singing like Elvis and nothing like that. That'd be ridiculous. But covering that part, because that has to be covered as well as a baritone and tenor. Same, if you're going to get
There were nights where you would say Elvis was more on than other nights, or was he always on, as far as the performance level goes?
Toward the end, right toward the very end, at last tour, the last tour we did, they filmed it, for CBS, and I know there was like cameras around, and they told us to be careful, come out of your room, and because we stayed in different crazy hotels where you could drive cars up to and park, and don't come running out. Sometimes we'd run out, might be in our shorts, chasing somebody, throwing water on them or something. We did kind of weird things back then, but kind of be on your best behavior, and all that. And so I guess maybe I started taking notice of it, and I noticed his hands were real puffy. This is a hand that he always directed, and I saw that hand right there. I knew that hand. I know that hand, I think, in the dark. I looked at it so many times, and I noticed it was puffy, real, had fluid, and so I was with him on that tour. We was talking, and invariably you get together. On tour, you don't have that time to have really spacious time together. But we was at a after party thing, after the program thing, had a little party get together, and I told him, I said, "What's wrong with your hand?" And he said, "Well, none of your business like that." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna make it my business." And I just got a little infection in there. And he put my arm around there and up my head like that. That's how he played. That's how he told you he loved you.
Yeah.
And so it was
tough love. Yeah.
I let it go like that. I let it go, and I never said another word. And then all of a sudden, he's dead. So, and there's something that you should know, and I probably will never have an opportunity to do this again. And so when you would leave Elvis at the end of a tour or any engagement, whether it's Vegas or Lake Tahoe or on tour, whatever, he always had a cast party, okay, and he always had it to where, like in Vegas, it'd be near a suite. And he had a suite, big one like this. And what he would do, he would go in and had food and guests, and there was just all kind of great people, and people would come, and I was in awe of seeing a lot of these people that I'd seen in the movies, and and it was great. But in the midst of all of that, he wanted us to sing gospel songs to those people.
Even in that situation,
with them all standing around.
Wow.
So Tom Jones came to Vegas once, and Tom, I idolized him. I thought he was a great singer. And he and Elvis were great buddies. So Tom came up, and I think Jimmy Dean came up, and several people. I can't remember them now. And Elvis got that piano stool, started playing some gospel, and we had to sing all them gospel songs that he likes to hear. They sing the same ones over and over. Since the first time we joined him, we would still sing those same songs 7 years later.
It's like a comfort blanket.
He loved those. He loved those songs. Yeah. So Tom was standing. We were standing, the quartet kind of standing like a little horseshoe. And Tom was standing, Elvis was standing right over there, I'll never forget it. And Tom was standing beside Elvis, and both of them were just crying. Tears were coming out of their faces. And we finished the song, and I thought, well, but maybe he'll tell us what's next, you know. And Tom said, me and Mother, you know, I suppose he had a little Irish in him, I'm not sure.
He's Welsh.
Welsh.
Like I am.
Yes.
He's from my hometown, Tom Jones.
Okay. So he said, me and Mother used to sing a song, if I could remember it, you know, In the Garden? And our piano player said, yes, and he hit it. And so Tom sung a verse and chorus in the garden, and the tears just came down his face. And it was so special, you know. I mean, I haven't shared that with many people. Man.
Interesting you
Maybe
say that.
Somebody will see that.
Yeah.
It did happen. It was really nice. But every time we would leave, and I'll get back to the story, get back to the point I want to make, we'd leave Elvis on the last tour, the last straw. We would always sing Sweet, Sweet Spirit. Sweet, Sweet Spirit at the auditorium. I've sung it in dressing rooms, bathrooms,
Sweets.
hallways, wherever. Before he'd go on stage, we had to sing Sweet, Sweet Spirit. Now, we do it every night here at this theater. And I've sung it many times since 1970.
I bet.
So the story is, he always wants to do it for him before we leave. So we walked to the front door of this little room suite he had. And he said, guys, sing that song for me. So we made a little horseshoe around him. We stood around him and sung Sweet Spirit. And he had his head down. Now Elvis always said to us when we finished that song, he'd say, hey guys, I'll see you on the next tour. Jay, don't be so bad. Hey, treat Ed good for a while. Or something like that, and get on out of here. Y'all looking ugly. We'd do something like that. But he didn't this time. But I didn't think anything about it, see, because I was young back then, just wanting to get into something, you know. Just couldn't wait to get started, partying. So when we finished that and we got ready to leave, he said, bye, fellas. Out of all those times, all those endings, all those trips, all of those tours, all those Vegas, all of those times at Graceland, all those times at wherever we went, always, first time he ever done that. And I think back on it, and nobody in the press saw that. They probably wouldn't think anything about it if they did. But isn't that something?
It's amazing.
He knew it.
He knew.
He knew it. And I told my wife this. Now you got to get this. And I told my wife, I said, it's in the Bible that no man should perish. Okay? But he should have everlasting life. That's in the Bible. If I believe that Jesus could save my soul, then I must believe that. That should be easy. Saving my soul, That's kind of hard to think he won't do that, because I'm a nobody, see. But he likes that kind of stuff. You can't predict him, see. You can't figure him out. But they put it in writing. So my wife told me, you know, she's so smart and intelligent, and that she is. She said, telling me about Elvis's passing, she said, well, he had a time, and that it was just God's time to call him. And I said, well, what if about all the people that hadn't heard about it? She said, well, he put it in writing that no man should perish. So we all have a chance. We all have an opportunity to live beyond this life. And my thoughts are heaven. Whatever it's like, I don't know. And I just soon wait till I get there to find out. But I'll be making that trip before too long. And I think everybody will know. I think you kind of know your time. I do. I think you kind of know your time.
You think he knew that?
I think he knew his time.
It was coming,
Yeah. Well, he would never have done that. The thousands of times that I was with him from 1971 until he died, I mean, I practically lived at Graceland at times. He sent his, now here's something crazy. He sent his Jetstar, he had a small plane. It only seat 18 people, but he called it a small plane. He'd send that Jetstar to Nashville and pick J.D. and I up, or whoever wanted to go, and fly us over to Memphis again, get out of that plane would roll up, we'd get out of that plane and get back on the 880 and go to Denver and eat.
Amazing.
I mean, what? I mean,
yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Did that ever seem normal, Ed? Was that always special?
It was crazy.
Yeah.
There was nothing normal about it.
Yeah. But it never got that it became normal for you. It was always like, okay, what's going to happen today?
Well, now you have to kind of put that in a little circle. You know, with Elvis, you knew basically I would not see him. We was on tour. I basically wouldn't see him until he got there that night. The car pulled in, police car pulled in. They pulled his car in. They pulled another limousine in behind that, and they backed up around the tunnel, so they got a straight shot out of there. Security was running everywhere. Okay. I mean, they were everywhere. I mean, it was bodyguards everywhere. And then after that settled, all the fumes from the cars, exhaust was in the building, and all of that hectic stuff going on. We'd just be standing around back there in the back. Nobody getting lost, everybody kind of stayed connected a little bit. And then, I just want to say, y'all, come on down. JD, get the rest of that quartet and get them down there. So and they talk to you like a dog, you know. But that's just how they had communicated, you know. And I loved every one of them. And we'd go in, they would say, hey guys, and you had to shake him, had to hug him and all that, you know. He was big in that. And then he would come by and most of the time take my TCB and stick it in my chest. You know, just something like that. And, well, man, this is a big one, man. This is a big one tonight. And, man, y'all sing that song for me. Okay. And get that grin off your face. See, and, you know, he used a lot of slang words, you know.
Yeah.
And it was really funny, you know. And he wanted to hear a sweet spirit.
Yeah. Before he went on.
Every night.
Yeah. See, it's the routines. It's
every night.
All these things just to
every
put
night.
in.
Every night.
Yeah.
Every night. Even to this day, I have the boys backstage 30 minutes before the show. You've come back there. Mm-hmm. You see me sitting back there, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm sitting back there, he ain't back there at 30 minutes prior. It's $25 a minute. Okay. Just take as many as you want.
Yeah.
But when you fill that 30 minutes up, you're gone. I want you on the stage. I'll sing that part.
Yeah.
You got to go.
Don't be late.
Don't even think about it.
No.
I mean, don't even have it like it's a dream. Like, come down.
Don't even dream about it.
Don't even dream about it. I mean, just say. No.
But that's, again, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's the respect.
It's respect. Respect for yourself. Respect for what you worked hard for. I've worked hard all my life for this, and I'm not going to let you take it.
Yeah.
You know?
Just by being sloppy.
And respect for Grahame Patrick Doyle. And that little man back there that's not feeling all that good, Bernhard Kurz back in the back. You better not hurt his feelings.
Absolutely.
I'll be all over you. I mean, I'll be all over you. Absolutely. I mean, all over you. I mean, even at my age, I'll be all over you. Don't hurt that little fella. And that's the way it is.
Yeah. And I think on that very strong positive note,
I'll clap my hands.
I'm going to say thank you very much, Ed Enoch. That was amazing.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for
You're
your
welcome,
time,
buddy. I hope it's something you can use.